Okay, after we've seen how to calculate the total risk, which is measured by the standard deviation, and also how to calculate the relative risk, which is measured by beta coefficients. Now let us see on how we can calculate the systematic risk. Now the systematic risk, we say this is a risk which reflects or is associated with the market movement. So this is a risk which affects all investment, all shares in the market. Now we want to see how we can calculate the systematic risk. Now the systematic risk is obtained by multiplying the standard deviation of individual shares. So in our example, we are using individual share X. Now sigma X, which is the standard deviation of share X, multiplied by correlation between the returns of X and the returns of Y. Now, as we are using the same example, in our computation we made earlier, in our example we did earlier, the standard deviation of X was 4.86%. Then we multiplied by correlation coefficient between X and Y, which is 0.882. The correlation coefficient obtained earlier was 0.882. So if you multiply, you get the systematic risk of 4.28%. So this is how you can calculate the systematic risk. Now, after obtaining the systematic risk, now let us see on how we can get the non-systematic risk. Now, the non-systematic risk, we say this is a risk which affects individual share. Now, earlier we said the total risk is made up of systematic plus non-risk. So if you make non-systematic subject, you make non-systematic subject of the formula be total risk minus systematic risk. Now, the total risk is 4.86%. You deduct the systematic risk of 4.28%. So if you deduct, you will get the non-systematic risk of 0.58%. Or out of total risk of 4.86%, 4.28 is the systematic risk. Now, this kind of risk is the one which affects all investment in that particular market. So, this kind of risk cannot be diversified away by developing a portfolio of assets. And the other part, which is 0.58, this is our non-systematic risk. Now, this part of risk can be diversified away by developing a portfolio of assets, because these risks affect individual assets. So if you develop a portfolio of assets, you'll be in a position to reduce this kind of risk. Okay, now let us continue with the capital asset pricing model. Now this model was developed by William Sharpe in 1963, and it is used in the finance industry. Now the capital asset pricing model is the model which explains the relationship between the risk of a security or portfolio and the expected return. And in particular, this model relates the systematic risk with the expected return of a security or portfolio. Now, the capital asset pricing model is explained by the following equation. Now we have an equation which explains the capital asset pricing model, which is the expected return on individual share is equal to risk-free return plus beta of individual share, bracket, expected return on the market, bracket, minus risk-free rate of return. Now this is our equation, question 1 for the capital asset pricing model. Now, in our equation we have ERI, which is the expected return on security I, or the required rate of return on security I. We have RF, which is the risk-free rate of return, which is the return on government securities, which is the assurance of being repaid by the government. And we have beta I, this is the beta of share I. And we have also ERM, which is the expected return on a market portfolio. Now we have the term ERM minus ARF. This is referred as the risk premium for undertaking risk. Now this is a compensation to investor for taking a risk. Now, according to capital asset pricing model, risk of a security comprises of two components. The first one is the risk-free rate of return, and the beta, which is the systematic risk. Now, the risk-free return, this is a return earned on risk-free asset, such as government securities, which earn a fixed return and repayment is guaranteed by the government. Now, while investing, an investor is exposed to two types of risk, which is the systematic risk and the non-systematic risk. Now, a non-systematic risk, we say this is the one which can be eliminated by developing a portfolio. And the other one is the systematic risk, which is the market-related component of a portfolio risk. Now, this cannot be minimized or reduced by developing a portfolio of asset. Now, the systematic risk is measured by the beta coefficients. Now, this describes the sensitivity of particular investment returns in relation to the market portfolio. Now, according to the capital asset pricing model, we say the higher the systematic risk involved in investing in a particular investment, the higher the return expected by investor. Now, say using the risk-free return on a market portfolio and the beta for security, the capital asset pricing model help investor to determine the return they should expect from a security, taking into account the exposure to the risk. So we say the capital asset pricing model helps investor to calculate risk that they will be exposed by investing in a particular investment. Now, according to the capital asset pricing model, we say depending on the risk appetite or tolerance, investor can decide to go ahead with investing in risk asset or not. Now, for a risk-averse investor, can reduce risk and return by dividing the investment between market portfolio and risk-free asset. Now, say the capital asset pricing model is also going to be reflected in the security market line. Now, the security market line, we say this is derived from the capital asset pricing model, and this line examine the relationship between risk and return of individual share or portfolio. Now, this line shows that as the level of risk associated with asset change, also the expected return or required rate of return will change. Now we have a graph which shows the security market line. Now we have the vertical axis which shows the expected return, and the vertical line, which vertical axis which shows the expected return, and horizontal which shows the risk, which is measured by the beta. Now this line is drawn from the risk-free rate of return. So as you draw the line up from the risk-free rate of return, it shows that the return is increasing. At the same time as you increase the return, also the risk, which is measured by beta, keep on increasing. Now, according to the security market line, we say the slope of the security market line is the same for all shares. Now say the shares sometimes are called defensive, neutral, or aggressive depending on the position on the security market line. For securities or shares with beta less than 1, say these are defensive stocks or defensive shares. And we have neutral with a beta equal to 1. And the aggressive are those with a beta greater than 1, are those with higher risk, which will demand higher required rate of return to be compensated for risk taken. Now say the market will be in equilibrium when all assets or all shares fall on the security market line. Now say increase in beta, which is a measure of systematic risk associated with the increase in the expected rate of return. Now say the systematic risk is compensated by hence the expected return. So the acceptance of non-systematic risk does not result into higher expected return. Also, the equation of the security market line is similar or identical to that of capital asset pricing model.